Calling to order the Lynwood High School District Regular meeting on October 14, 2021 at approximately 5:32. Mr. President, roll call please.
Mrs. Lopez.
Present.
Mr. Morales.
Present.
Dr. Castro.
Present.
Mr. Harding.
Present.
Mrs. Adriana Tejeros. Present.
All board members present. Approval of the agenda of the regular meeting of October 15.
So moved.
Party and second by Ms. Castro. Is there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? This item passed 5-0. Public comment and communications, are there any public comments pertaining to the session?
There are no public comment for closed session.
Now, the governing board is going to go into closed session and discuss Calling back to order the Lynwood High School District regular board meeting on October 14, 2021, at exactly 6:01. Ladies and gentlemen, roll call please.
Mrs. Lopez.
Present.
Mr. Morales.
Present.
Dr. Castro.
Present.
Mr. Hardy.
Present.
Mrs. Delgado Rios.
Present.
All the board members are present. Good night. Flag salute to be led by Councilor.
Good evening, Board President Mrs. Lopez, board members, Superintendent Dr. Cosplay, district cabinet members, and the Lynwood community. I am Camila Varela, proud principal of Helen Keller Elementary. We are honored to be a part of tonight's board meeting. Joining me today is one of my 6th grade students, Samantha Garcia. Samantha would like to attend UCLA, and Samantha would like to pursue a career as a doctor or in the field of law. Samantha Garcia.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Samantha Garcia. And we take the school reports. At this time, we would like to hear from the student board representative. 981, Vista High School.
Good evening, Board President Ms. Maria Lopez,
Good evening.
Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Cosplay, members of the cabinet, and the Lynwood community. My name is Carla Aguirre, and I am the student board representative and the ASB member for Vista High. Student of the Month ceremony was celebrated recognizing 35 students for the month of September. Students were recognized for academic achievement, most improved, and perfect attendance. An additional ceremony is being held for students that earned a 4.0 GPA for quarter 1 grades. Cerritos Community College held a presentation for all students showcasing their CTE pathways. We had the opportunity to ask questions during lunchtime at the public tent. The FAFSA campaign has begun. Students have been given presentations by our counselor, Mr. Ramos, regarding financial aid and other financial resources. We have 14 students that have already completed their fourth FAFSA. Our goal is to get every student to complete their FAFSA. In honor of Cancer Awareness Month, VISTA staff and students have trained other schools in wearing pink on Wednesdays. Our leadership class has participated in a CPR training provided by our community partner, Intersafety First Training. Although we hope we never have to practice what we learn, we are aware that the skills we have learned can potentially save a life one day. Vista High School welcomed Noel G. to campus to speak to us regarding the importance of making the right decisions in life. His words motivated us and inspired us to stay focused on our goals and surround ourselves with positivity. Staff continues to work diligently on the WASP midterm report. This concludes the Vista High School report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carla. Yes, Aguirre. Bible High School.
Good
Good afternoon, Board President, Mrs. Maria Lopez, board members, and the rest of the Lynwood community here today. My name is Lindsay Romero, and I'm here with Marco Antonio Fireball as their ASB representative. The information presented will be the most up-to-date and recent going on our campus. Under our academic section, on October 8th was the end of the quarter, and teachers will have until Monday, October the 18th to put in their grades. Juniors and seniors are scheduled for SAT and SAT testing scheduled for October 26, 2021 and October 28, 2001. For our college and career information, on October 1st, the College and Career Center came together to celebrate the start of open college applications along with DREAM Acts and financial aid applications for seniors. Along with that, they provided students and parent applications for October 2nd in 2021. Every Wednesday, there's a host that helps students after school with the applications if needed. For our school events this week, ASB is hosting a Spirit Week to start off the homecoming week well spirited. The days we've had so far are Magical Monday, where students work led to signify their grade level. Turn Tuesday, where students had the opportunity to join with other students on campus. Whimsical Wednesday, where students were encouraged to wear patterns or socks and safety hats. Today, ASB had a good day by staying close and never planned their speech. Friday is our homecoming game against Bellflower High School, and we will be announcing our homecoming king and queen during halftime. And Saturday is our homecoming dance. The theme is A Night in the Neverland. Friday is also our senior night, where we will be honoring student athletes in football, marching band, cheer, and dance. Lingua hosted their annual freshman summit, where Lingua leaders met with their freshmen, took photos in graduation apparel, and played games and activities to become more familiar with FHS. Educare is hosting a spooky movie night next week, where there will be food trucks, games, and a Halloween movie played. This event always has a very large turnout. For sports and athletics department, this Friday, our football team will be going against Bellflower High School. Our girls cross-country team plays third on the meet of September 12, 2021. Girls volleyball has won their 3 last games against Dominguez High School, Price High School, Delphi Academy, and our girls tennis has a promising future ahead. It's been showing improvement in matches at La Mirada, Mayfair, and Norwalk High School. Before my presentation ends, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming here today, and I wish you all a great rest of your week. Go Falcons!
Thank you, Mr. President. Now, Lynwood High School.
Good evening, Board President Mrs. Lopez, Board members, District Cabinet members, and Lingua community. My name is Saida Hernandez, and I am Lingua High School Student Board Representative. This is Lingua High School Student Board Report for Thursday, October 14th. College and Career Center. This week, the College and Career Center has been supporting our seniors in their English classes on Monday, October 11th through Tuesday, October 12th, and on Thursday, October 14th through Friday, October 15th. They are also having college representative visits from the following schools on the following days: CSU Fullerton during lunch on October 12th, CSU Dominguez Hills during lunch on October 15th, Charles Drew University after school on October 18th, UC Irvine after school on October 19th, Cal Tech during lunch on October 21, and CSU Los Angeles after school on October 21. Every Thursday, they will host Turn-In Thursday to support seniors with financial aid applications. These are by appointment, and families are welcome to join so they can get their questions answered. Starting on Wednesday, October 20th, they will also be hosting WYA Wednesdays, where counselors, teachers, and the college and career staff will be supporting all aspects of college applications. Financial Aid Kickoff. On Saturday, October 2nd, the College and Career Center, accompanied by Lingua High School counselors, teachers, and staff, held a Financial Aid Kickoff where seniors and their parents were encouraged to attend in order to fill out their FAFSA application or California DREAM Act. We had a broad participation of seniors who joined and many who were able to submit their FAFSA that same day. PSAT and SAT Day. On Wednesday, October 13th, Lingua High School held their first SAT and PSAT of the year. Seniors who wanted to take the SAT were welcome to sign up for that day, while the entire junior class took the PSAT. Classified and Certified Staff of the Month. This year, Lingua High School will continue to recognize teachers monthly. The leadership also suggested recognizing classified personnel. The focus for certified personnel is creating a positive learning environment and building positive relationships. For the month of September, the students voted for Ms. Audrey Casas. The focus for classified staff is going above and beyond. Every month, we will recognize staff from a different department. The department recognized for the month of September was maintenance, since they had been great in our transportation to the Bullis campus. The staff voted and selected Christina Lopez as the classified employee of the month. Knights of the Roundtable. We have also started a program to recognize students of the month. They are referred to as the Knight of the Roundtable. Every month, a student from each department will be recognized. Our Knight of the Roundtable for the month of September are Justin Timms, Science Department, Jahid Harding Moore, Science Department, Ashley Nunez, English, Brian Lopez, Math, Ariana Nunez, History, Isaiah Jones, PE, Irvin Vilas, Foreign Language, and Isabel Almas for Art. Parent Partner of the Month. Lingua High School staff and administration is also recognizing parents and guardians for the month of September. The parent and guardians who are being recognized for their continued support and open communication with staff are Neira Sandoval, Javier Noriega, Laura Nunez, Chiquita Moore, and Miguel Gonzalez. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my board report for Lingua High School. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Lynwood Community Announcement.
Good evening, Board of Education member, Superintendent Dr. Castaway, members of the cabinet and the legal community. My name is Miguel Conejo, and I am waiting for the student board representative for Legal Community Adult School. Legal Community Adult School will be holding its first ASD and class representative election in 2 years. We are excited to again have elected officials to help foster a positive campus culture for our students. Legal Community Adult School cordially invites you to attend the graduation ceremony of the Agreement Nursing Program class of 2021 and Counseling Ceremony class of 2022. Thursday, October 21, 2021 at 6 p.m. at Lynwood High School. Legal Community Law School will be hosting a virtual school department school night on October 27. It will be fun night with activities for the whole family. This concludes Legal Community School report.
Thank you, Mr. Miguel. Now we go to the Padre High School.
Good evening, Board President Ms. Maria Lopez and the Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Crossway, members of the Cabinet, and the Lingua community. On behalf of Pathway High School, I, Carla Aguirre, will be reading the report. The Cerritos Community College held presentations virtually for all Pathway students. We were introduced to the various programs they offer, including the Career Technical Education programs. The FAFSA window has officially opened. Mr. Mireles and the Movement Enrichment Program have been assisting students to gather required documents to apply for financial aid and other financial resources. We have one student that has completed the FAFSA. Today we celebrate the competition of graduation requirements for 9 fellow students. One of the 9 students has enlisted in the Air Force. We congratulate them all and wish them success in accomplishing their goals and dreams. Pathway High School was honored to have 2 wonderful guest speakers in the last couple of days. The first speaker is a movie actor and motivational speaker, Noel G. The second speaker is a popular musician and producer known as RJ. Both shared important life lessons and motivated us and inspired us to stay focused on our dreams and make them a reality. We thank both of them for sharing wisdom with us. Saturday school interventions have begun at Pathway. Students are invited to come and on Saturdays participate in activities that help support social and emotional coping skills. Students are also offered tutoring with their assignments. This concludes the Pathway Independent High School Study Report.
Thank you. Thank you again, Carla. And now we move to superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. And I want to just let everybody know that we've moved our board meetings to our Lynwood YouTube channel. And we have the new cameras that we're trying out this evening, and so they are 4K, high resolution, and they capture a lot. And just a reminder for the board to make sure you're using the mic so that your sound can also be picked up on YouTube. I have a quick update for you in terms of the facilities, the emergency resolution that we passed back in February regarding Lingua High School. As it's gotten darker, we realize that we have a need for additional athletic facilities for our sports as well as the community. We currently have the athletic facility on the Imperial campus that's being used by the JV varsity soccer teams for the 2 high schools, as well as football. And we also have the junior nights. So we are in the process of looking into and putting up some temporary lights on the Bullets facility so that we can expand the facilities for our athletes, and looking into make sure that we get some additional support for the softball diamonds, the baseball diamonds as well. We want to make sure that our kids have safe and clean, accessible athletic facilities, even into the late hours. And then the next thing, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Lucas, because tonight we are also welcoming some new members to our little family, and for that, I'll pass it over to Dr. Lucas.
Thank you very much, Dr. Crossway. Good evening, board members. Good evening, everybody. This is that time of year when we get to celebrate and welcome the new Lynwood Unified Employee family members that we have hired into our district. And it's been an interesting hiring year with the pandemic, obviously. But I've got a couple of figures for you on the next slide. There's just a rough overview of the number of certificated folks that we've hired for this school year. Our highest number of hires on the certificated side has been special education teachers and also special education support certificated folks like school psychologists and speech and language pathologists. On the classified side, you're going to see, next slide, again, the highest number of hires we've had has been around instructional aides for special education. And then you'll see the numbers differently there for office assistant. And on the bottom there, this is just a reminder for us all about kind of the diversity in our classified folks, that there's just a variety of positions that support our schools and students in the classified arena. And all those listed at the bottom there, we hired one of each of those. So a lot of different flavors of folks that have been coming on board into the district and part of our family. We're very pleased to introduce some of them who are here tonight, so you can say hello. Thank them for their hard work and decisions to come to Lynwood. And kick us off will be Director Zaragoza over there with our classified folks that are here this evening.
Yes, good evening, President Lopez, board members, Superintendent Cabinet. I'm honored today to present to you some of our new employees that we brought on board in different classifications. So if I can ask President Lopez and Superintendent Crossway to kind of come and greet them when I call them over here on this end. So we have our instructional assistant special needs, Yareli Campos at Lingua Elementary School. We have our Chief of Security, Gregory Jennings. We have campus monitor at Lincoln Elementary School, Juana Martinez. We have a nutrition service supervisor at the Central Kitchen, or Elita Hostler, Roderick McCrary. And then we have a College and Career Center Tech at Fireball High School, Mary Orozco. We have another campus monitor at Lingua Elementary School, Yvette Rodriguez. And we have an attendance assistant at College Keller, Ashley Rodriguez. And then we have an instructional assistant special needs at Washington Elementary School, Katie Rodriguez. We want to do this is our classified, we want to do a group picture of our classified. Let's give our new classified staff a round of applause. And now for our certificate staff, we have Julio Beltran, Virtual Academy Independent Study Teacher. Martha Cecilia Caballero, Virtual Academy Independent Study Teacher. Christopher Carboni, Secondary Education Instructional Improvement Lead. David De La Cruz, Virtual Academy Independent Study Teacher. Delaney Diaz, Special Education School Psychologist. And then Marina Godinez, Pathway Math Teacher. Naul Lezama, Virtual Academy Independent Study Teacher. Maria Luna, Floater at PCE Teacher. Angel Mendez, Osler Middle School Science Teacher. And then we have one of our older residents that's back with us, Akari Nakajima, Wilson Elementary Special Education Teacher. Lupe Vidales, the Special Ed Department School Psychologist. And Natalie Zapalza, Will Rogers, PCE Teacher. Let's give all our new employees a round of applause.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas and Ms. Zaragoza, and welcome to all of our new certificated and classified employees. And again, we'll do another one at the second semester because we are still in the process of hiring additional for positions. We go to the next slide, please. So, Madam President and school board members, I want to just give you a brief overview, ask some questions about what does it take to get up to the dais and have a board meeting in terms of preparing the board agenda. And in the back, I'm going to ask Socorro to wave, because Socorro is heavily involved in putting together the agenda and as well as all the cabinet, every single director and their assistants. So there's probably a team of about 20 of us who are working on the agenda, and the agenda never ends. I've already reading agenda items for the next board meeting. We're already in conversations. But what I do want to emphasize is that in order for us to have a board meeting, there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes, and you as a board are also involved in that process. And it's about strong governance and making sure that everyone knows their role and understands the responsibilities. And for us, it starts with bringing people together. Parents, students, community members, teachers, administrators, and developing the strategic plan. And the strategic plan drives our mission, which is right behind us right here. It drives our goals and objectives, and it also helps us develop the LCAP. And the LCAP is a similar process that we've now adopted, and we've been doing that for years, and it's always an opportunity to refine it and make them better and stronger. So with the strategic planning and the LCAP, the board priorities are also developed, budget, we take into consideration our needs, demographics, and as well as any local, state, or federal laws, guidelines, compliance issues that we have to adhere to. And so the public may not always see, but we've had, I think it was 9 or 10 study sessions. So that means that aside from the regular board meetings like today, we're here on Saturdays, Sundays, evenings, having these lengthy conversations. And sometimes those conversations are not all agreement. There's discussion, there's disagreement, and that's part of building that strong governance. And so the study session gives us additional opportunities to come together and have these conversations. But it also allows us, when we have these board meetings, to be more efficient in terms of running a board and acknowledging and highlighting our students, acknowledging our staff, so that we can have productive meetings at the same time. So in terms of the agenda, again, all of these things are used to drive the agenda. And we go to the next slide. So here's just a sample of what that looks like for the public, but the agenda is an ongoing process. It's typically about 2-ish weeks to put it together, but as we're working and finishing up one agenda, we're already starting the other agenda. So as agenda items get to my level, I'm having conversations with the board ahead of time before board meetings, and they also benefit from getting a draft of the agenda. And sometimes the draft doesn't make it to the final agenda because board members will ask for more questions, clarity, additional information, we may catch some things. And so by the time it gets to the final agenda, it's gone through about 20 different people. So it's a very thorough process, and even then, we don't catch everything. We still make mistakes, I'm human, and so there are times where these get through, but there really is a lot of effort into supporting the development of the agenda process. I recognize that some of these are a little small font, but again, there's something going on every day of the month in preparation for the agenda. We go to the next slide, please. I really wanted Socorro to present tonight, because she's the one that's really involved in all these things. But here we have an example. So we actually start the board meetings and the agenda about 6 months before the school year. So we actually, around November next month, we're going to start developing the calendar for the following 22-23 school year. We don't wait till the school year starts. We start about 6 months in advance, and that starts off right now with the budget. The LCAP was just adopted by the county. Our unaudited budget is now going to the state. It was just approved by the county as well. And all of those things are gonna drive that process and that cycle. And so we start having the conversations about the calendar, we train the assistants, we make sure that they have the support that they need to be successful. And again, I'm not gonna go through this in all the detail, but let's go to the next slide. So just to give you a sample of what it looks like, and again, every single document that goes into the agenda, I personally read it, and I know Ms. Lopez reads it like 2 times, 3 times sometimes. And so again, it's a lengthy process, but there you see on day 9, I review the items, I meet with cabinet, we go over it, and then on days 11, 12, we're doing the final minor edits, cleaning things up. Anything that didn't make it is going to get pushed to the next board meeting, so it doesn't necessarily make it on time for this agenda. And again, some of the other things that we have to adhere to, we have to follow the Brown Act. And so we have to publicize the agendas 72 hours in advance. We have EDCO. We also have guidelines from the county office, as well as the federal government, where we publish agenda items. And legal counsel is involved. And so legal counsel will remind us that when we have board meetings, we have to have public comments. We have to make sure that the meetings are accessible to the public. We have to have, an order of running a meeting and making sure that the board president knows how to run efficient meetings, and ensuring that, for example, one of the things that we did differently under Mr. Hardy's presidency is we moved all bond-related matters under action right at the start of the consent. This way, the public is more transparent in terms of any bond dollars, in terms of how they're being used. And so with legal counsel's feedback and suggestion, we made some adjustments to the order of the board meetings or the agenda so that it's a little bit more transparent to the community. But there'll be times where we get updates from California School Boards Association, they'll make some recommendations, they'll be considered here. Let's go to the next slide. And so there's a lot of factors that go involved into this. And for example, as a district, we don't write checks. Sometimes people think, well, seriously, the superintendent, I do not sign a single check. For everyone to know, that all of our checks are warrants for employees, my own personal check, to vendors. They come from the county office. And the county office will look at the agenda. And they're going to ask to make sure that the employees are listed on the agenda. So all of our new employees, they're on the agenda with their pay schedule, when they started, salary schedule, any consultants, it has to be on the agenda. Otherwise, they will not get paid. And again, the warrants and checks are coming from the county office, and they're looking at everything closely. If there's anything, they'll ask us to send it back for clarification. So it's a lengthy process, and our board is involved in the entire process to make sure that when it finally gets to them, there are no surprises in terms of what they're seeing. And they have seen and discussed some of these items with me, not necessarily with each other, but with me, or have seen them far in advance. And then the last slide right here, the next slide, is just, again, a sample workflow of what it looks like. So, for example, a secretary item goes to the administrative assistant, it goes to the director or the principal, it goes to assistant superintendent, goes to me, we do the final review to the board. So I'll pause here if there are any questions. I got just a couple more things I want to share, but not related to the agenda. Any questions related to the
I would like you to clarify for, even for board members, that we cannot put an item on the agenda when it's 2 or 3 days or even 1 week before.
Yes, so that's, yes. So as you can see from the, if you go back, maybe like 4 slides, Mr. Boyce, the timeline is really tight. And so, for example, today was the deadline to submit all agenda items for the next board meeting. So it's usually like 14 days in advance. And again, we cannot go back and change anything after we pass those deadlines. And again, we're required by the Brown Act to publish the agenda to the public. And we make copies available, hard copy, as well as posting it on our website, so that the public is aware, and we're not going to change any agenda items after it gets published. That would be unethical and the wrong thing to do. But there is a lengthy process to get things going through this workflow. And all right, now let's go to the social media highlights. So it's been a busy 2 weeks. Congratulations to our students who were recognized by the College Board for passing a number of AP exams. I also want to just acknowledge Saida, who's here. She did a fantastic job last Friday with the Lynwood Bears. Saida, as you may know, is a senior, and she presented to a live audience as well as a streaming audience and advocated to share her story and some of the things that are going well and some of her aspirations. So again, thank you. Saida, I want to thank the Little Partners Education Foundation and their director, Elsa Chagoya. And if you haven't already given or made a donation, we're about $4,000 short. We raised about $21,000 in the week. Text Lynwood Gives to 44321. Make a difference and support students and staff through scholarships. And that's one of the scholarships that Saida hopes to get at the end of the year, right, Saida? But it's just a fantastic event. We have new middle school labs that are CTE pathway where students will get the opportunity to get some hands-on experiences at our 2 middle schools. So if they're interested in engineering, they're interested in the health field, they now have a curriculum that has hands-on experiences to support these efforts. Next slide. And just, it's been busy with Latino Heritage Month. I was over at Lingua High School with Mr. Corner, visiting Ms. Vargas' Raza Club today, and they're doing a little video, so they invited us. I just want to acknowledge all the schools and everything that they've been doing throughout the month, really, to support and highlight all the diversity that we have in Latino Heritage Month. And I already mentioned the state of the district, and then just the next slide. I just want to acknowledge all of our administrators. We had a little luncheon for them. I didn't do a good job of taking pictures, but we had the Lynwood High Culinary Arts Program cater a small lunch just to acknowledge them for everything they do. We really appreciate each and every single one of them because they're working really hard. They have a big heart, and they truly believe in kids. And Madam President, that concludes my presentation, and I do need to pull one item, and that is 14D as in Dodgers 8. That's 14 Dodgers 8. Yeah, that concludes my report.
Thank you. And now we take us to board reports. Rafael, please.
Didn't come as a surprise, but I have no report.
Oh, thank you. It is Daniel's turn.
Yes, the pressure's on me. I have a quick one. I know previously in the year, we, before school started, we had a meeting about the adult school. And I want to make sure that we're appropriately following up with what we committed to do for adult school. I feel like we are, in a lot of ways, failing the school and starving on resources, which harms that program. So there's a lot of things that they need as far as TLC, but also administrative support that does not hasn't arrived there yet. So when I ask staff to make sure that we do our best to go over there in person and check in with the staff there and assuring that we are making every effort possible to set the adult school program up for success by providing all they need in the way of manpower, womanpower, what have you, but also the supplies and the vision that they need there as well. Thank you. That's our report.
Good evening, everyone. So last week I had the opportunity to participate in the parents of the venue committee. There was representation from our district as well as family and stakeholders. There will continue to be additional meetings that will be highlighted and posted by our district. I heard the voices of our families and concerns about their children not eating during school hours, concerns about the quality of food. And so I look forward to collaborating and working together with families, with our stakeholders, with our district, as board members, to ensure that our children are receiving the meals that they should be receiving and quality warm or cold meals. Also, just excited to be a part of the State of the District address that was this past week, learning more about the vision, the direction, just so many positive highlights that were shared. I continue to participate in the CSB Saturday workshops, and just as we conclude the month of Latino Heritage Month, I just want us to continue to honor the assets and the contributions of Latinos in our communities, and thank all of the educators who are working with our students, with our families, to have these conversations and celebrate Latino Heritage Month. Also, another thank you to our school administrators. We know our school administrators have been working really hard during the pandemic. They return back to school now, and just being those amazing leaders at our school sites. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. On my part, very brief, I want to welcome all of you that attend the meeting tonight. I know it's a sacrifice for you, but welcome again to this meeting. And I want to welcome Martina Rodriguez, Mike Cruz, and everybody that is here tonight. Yesterday was the birthday of Antonio Fargo. I remember one time we were in Bell, and he came and he said, you know what? The 8540 law is going to be signed on October 12th, one day before my birthday. And I said, are you sure? Yes, it's going to. And the following week, we were celebrating and Leonardo. It was his birthday, and then everybody was very happy because actually that law, the Senate, the Assembly bill was he actually had, and he was so good for this community. Another thing that I just want to mention right now is that we received $82,000 for the state preschool. It's going to be big, this grant is actually dedicated to students. That is is a very good student for tonight's approval too. And I want to thank you all, the superintendent, for the sake of he gave an excellent speech, information, and it was a lot of work. But actually that the leads were listening, and it was on Facebook and also on the website of the foundation. So thank you so much for all the work that Mr. Guillermo and the administrators, his cabinet has been doing for this school district, especially in the pandemic and right now the opening of the new school. Thank you, and thanks to the board that were actually on online. So welcome again. And that's it with my report. Now we have comments.
Yes, Madam President, we have a few people saying that.
For board policy number 9323, women will be allowed to use speaker to address all their items if transmission services are required. Please state that. And an additional 1 minute will be allowed. Approach the lecture, can give your name and your address. The first question is
Elizabeth Rodriguez, if you could step up to the mic, please.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Rodriguez, and I have been employed in the district for 24 years. I've come before you as Moses came before Pharaoh and said, let my people go. I stand here before you to say, let us have medical freedom. I am neither pro-vax or anti-vax, but one who stands for freedom and abide by the United States Constitution. We as Americans have a constitutional right of freedom. The First Amendment guarantees freedom concerning religion, expression, assembly, and the right to petition. These times are not unprecedented, but rather the end of times. According to the Bible in the book of Revelation, no man shall buy or sell without the mark of the beast. The vaccine mandate, rather shall I say a strong suggestion, not the law, has become the mark of the beast. It has caused segregation, discrimination, and hate towards one another, along with stress, anxiety in our families due to people we know that have died and suffer adverse side effects and are worried if they will have their job to support their families. According to Johns Hopkins University and Medicine, the typical vaccine development timeline takes 5 to 10 years. With that in mind, those who took the vaccine are the experiment. I serve a living, loving, active God. This vaccine is not from God. A vaccine that is not FDA approved. Yes, I will say it again. It is not FDA approved. Do your research. A vaccine that is killing people, causing them to have adverse effects such as death, inflammation, neurological disorders, autoimmune disorders, long-term chronic disease, blindness, deafness, infertility, fetal damage, heart attacks, blood clotting, miscarriage, stillbirth, and there's much more to come out during this clinical trial. Here's my question to you all. Is the district ready to face accountability and responsibility for forcible action that is requiring employees and students to receive the vaccine in order to work or attend school at Lynwood USD? Will the district agree to assume 100% financial responsibility for covering any and all expenses from adverse events, including death, through insurance coverage or directly? Is the district aware and prepared for employees and parents who could file a civil lawsuit against the district should they suffer an adverse effect, death, or termination from their place of employment? In conclusion, I urge you to do your research because the truth is out there. Many whistleblowers are coming out to speak the truth. As an employee, I will not resign or quit. Lynwood Unified School District needs to respect and abide with the United States Constitution. As Moses warned Pharaoh of the coming plagues, I too say to you, there's only one person who will heal this nation, this world, and that would be the Lord. Get ready because I serve a justice God, and his judgment will come upon those who do evil towards his children. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Michael Sanchez. Are we coming?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Maricruz Sanchez, address 4213 Corpus Street. It's been 15 years that I have been at this district as a parent, participating in different capacities, specifically for my son Matthew, Marcelo, and my daughter Maricruz, and of course my community. Many things have transpired over these 15 years, but never what I heard during our last board meeting. Board member Del Real used vulgar words to respond to valid concerns that are going on in our community. Now, as free individuals, we all have the right to express ourselves how we deem necessary, but I feel that there is a time and a place, and I'm just humbly asking that our board meetings not be that place. As a parent that was bringing up some of those very concerns, I feel it was necessary to let board member Del Real know that his poor choice of words were dismissive, offensive, and disrespectful. It takes a lot for parents, a lot of courage to voice their concerns. We do not need to agree on everything, but there must always be a high level of mutual respect. In closing, I would like to thank all the board members, especially board member Morales, Board Member Lopez and Board Member Hardy, since they have been here the longest, and have always upheld the professional decorum that our board meetings should provide. We are all going through a lot, and I'm just humbly again asking that we're just kind to each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Royce Estrasno.
Is it Royce Estera? I apologize if I mispronounced it.
District Secretary is here to speak on his family matters that come to us.
You want to hold on and just do it all together then?
Sure.
Okay, we'll call up then Martina Rodriguez, please.
Good evening, board members and cabinet superintendent. I'm here to remind you of your oath you took when you became a board member here in the governing board. You swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and constitutions of California. You are by obligation, freely, and faithfully. Madam President, I am here to ask you that you direct the superintendent to ask public counsel to draft a board policy aligned with reference to section code 35228, lobbyist conflict of interest, code 87306, government code section 10090, 107.5. The code of ethics is referred to meeting morally standards of conduct, represent the interests of all people and not in favor of special interests inside or outside the district. Not use the board for their own personal advantage or for the advantage of their friends or supporters. And the reason that I'm asking this board to do that is because, you know, with the past history, is reflecting what happened 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago, with our high school that collapsed. And it was because of similarities that happened. Now we see it 25, 27 years later, the effect of this corruption. So now I'm asking this board to draft something like that, it's a board policy, and allow every board member, every employee administrator to sign this code of ethics, to remind them that they're here to serve. They're not here to benefit from any service that they provide. So I'm asking you to please do that, or inform me if it's already one that is already done, that you're going to go and revise or amend and include a lot of things that align us with the ethics and the ethics, so code of ethics. So I'm going to come for answers, and I hope you guys respond in writing what's going to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Madam President. We do have some board bylaws, and I'll confirm with Ms. Rodriguez regarding the policies that she shared. And then just following, we now have Guadalupe Peregrina.
Good evening. As much as I wanted to prepare a speech for today, my time has started.
Just speak on the mic so we can hear you.
Okay. It was my intention to create a speech and prepare myself properly to present myself here, just so I didn't get emotional. I'm a single parent. I work for Lingua Unified. I've been working for Lingua Unified for 15 years. So between working here and servicing my students as instructional assistant for special needs, and dealing with their personal problems and trying to help them out, and going home and trying to help my son out, I just have not come to time. Okay? But I am here to speak against these mandates because they are unlawful, they are unethical, and they are causing a lot of damage that for some reason you all and our government are failing or refusing to see. You guys are putting our lives at jeopardy. You're putting our jobs at jeopardy, our livelihoods. Not only that, our students, a lot of them rely on us. We are their comfort. We are their trust. We are their confidants. We are the ones that they come to when they're dealing with family issues because their mom makes them sleep on the floor when there is a bed available, because there is abuse at home, because there's insufficient food, because their mom is at the hospital and father is working for so long, and they come to us, Ms. Lupin, do you have any snacks? I'm hungry, I didn't get to eat last night. We take it out of our pockets. They know to come to us. And I don't know if you guys realize the importance that our roles are in each school site for these kids. And these mandates that you guys are imposing on us unlawfully is about to tear us away from these children. That they will not have anybody to look to, and nobody to ask, and nobody to vent. So if you guys are here, you guys are the Board of Education, and if you guys are here for the safety, the welfare, and the well-being, and the education of our children, you guys really need to really think about what you guys are asking us to do. Because by November 1st, we are obligated to submit our vaccine cards, our religious exemptions, or our medical exemptions. And we know very well that these religious exemptions, you guys are not being so kind on them. You are imposing on our religious beliefs, on our upheld personal beliefs.
Your time.
I understand my time is up, but I have one more thing to say.
Your time is up.
Well, I'll be here at the next board meeting, and the next one, and the next one.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Next we have Royce, followed by Pam Finley and Jonna Tabor, please.
Good evening. I kind of didn't want my time to start yet because you guys didn't introduce why I'm here and what I am. And I don't want my time to be taken any further. On April 16, 2013, I was ordered to falsify student attendance records by Agent Carter Lampman, Superintendent General Counsel, and her designees. When I refused to commit forgery, Penal Code 470, on April 30, 2013, I was disciplined, threatened with suspension and dismissal. I reported this act to the administrators, CTA, and board members. And no officials responded to my complaints to date. I contacted EEOC June 4, 2015, after an EEOC investigation was completed approximately 2 months after the investigation. On August 18, 2015, I was removed from my classroom, sent to the district, and not given a reason for the removal to date. I was sent home after a month and subsequently served with a suspension notice on February 16, 2016, February 12, 2016, via email of 36 false charges against me. The district has provided no evidence to support the 36 false allegations against me to date. Brian Lucas, Assistant Superintendent, omitted false documents to the skeleton. That's forgery. And added false allegations to this case on July 21st, 2021. All in a scheme fabricated to mislead someone into believing a lie or an inaccuracy. Penal Code 115. The suspension defamed my character. Adrian stated that I was mentally incapable of performing my duties when I have two doctors that say that I was capable of performing my duties. I have performed my duties since 2006. My evaluations met the standards of the duties of a preschool teacher site supervisor as of 4/21/2015. The Skelly hearing is out of compliance. A Skelly hearing gets its name from the California Supreme Court case Skelly versus State Board. Skelly Court held that a civil service or public sector employee has a property right to his job and could not be deprived of it without due process. I was never afforded my due process to date. According to California State Law Enforcement Association, a Skelly hearing must be provided to an employee prior to the imposition of discipline. I was disciplined in 2016, this is 2020. I am contending that the school district governing board did not have reasonable cause to suspend me. The charges against me are not true and has not been proven to date. These charges are punitive and premeditated, nothing more than retaliation for being a whistleblower.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, board. My name is Jonathan Taylor, and I'm a justice advocate with the National Association for Legal Justice for America. I'm here on behalf of Ms. Finley. I've been advocating with her to the school district for 5 years now for some equity to resolve her matter. It was important that you see her this evening, and you know what you're going to do here this evening is very, very important. The community, your community, will get to see you either adhere to what you promised to do in your oath or just go with the flow. I felt bad when I saw Ms. Finley standing here because it made me remember some of the worst things that have happened in the history of mankind, humankind, have done in the midst of intelligence. The Holocaust was performed by Germany, which was the most intelligent nation at that time on the face of the earth. This teacher was one of the blossoming, blooming teachers in your staff of teachers here at the school. She was directed to by one of the district supervisors to white out information on the attendance roll. I have prepared for you and left for you a stack of papers that describe how whiting out an official document literally renders it useless. I also, in that pack of paper, left for you that there were 14 teachers of the Atlanta Unified School District who exuberantly were told to change test scores. Those teachers were subsequently convicted of fraud, felony fraud, for defrauding the federal government. In essence, they altered those documents. Also in that pack of papers I have for you is the August 2020 report of an ex-now FBI agent who had to plead guilty to altering an email. And the alteration he did to the email, he simply inserted 4 words, and you'd be surprised what the words were. He's not the one. He had to admit that he was fraudulent, that he tampered with the email. So I say to you tonight, when people pride come to our society, see, we have the leverage now. Brown and black people have the leverage now. Let's not treat each other like other people treated us when they have the leverage. That better life that people look for when they strive and put their lives online to come to this country is that better life that having a system of legitimate laws integrally enforced by officers in positions who hold true to their oath to protect all laws. Thank you so very much.
Good evening. My name is Lloyd Smith, President of the National Association for Legal Justice in America. I'm here this evening to talk about justice and not injustice. One of the things we're very concerned about is freedom of choice. Her choice was not to white out anything. Even a no Republican, if you white out anything, you're going to lose your license, may go to jail, and reprimanded. One of the things that, by calling her stupid, that's a definition of her character. You violated the 8th Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment, 14th Amendment of due process and protection of the law. She did not get due process and protection of the law and never identified a school district. With harassment, retaliation, violated Title VII unfair labor practices. Also, in the American Disability Act, anytime you're 40 or over, it's age discrimination. So what I'm saying is that we're a civil rights group, we know the law, and definitely violate, even a whistleblower, you can't file a whistleblower. So we're very concerned about justice, not injustice in America today. Legal, First Amendment, freedom of expression, a pluralistic society, open society. People have to understand that we have legal redress against our government. And we're a national civil rights group, we know the law, and we have legal redress against governments. I'm just telling you that we're very concerned about this, and we also sent a letter to the FBI about fraud, White House. Thanks a lot.
Madam President, given the comments in support of this pandemic, I'd like to pull the item 13C1 under HR from the consent agenda. 13C1. Yes, so let's pull it so that it's not considered as next week.
Now take the public hearing, for May public hearing on consistency of instructional materials for fiscal year 2022, 21-22, and approval of resolution number 21-22.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second. There's been moved by Mr. Hardy, second by Mr. Morales. Is there any public comments and seeing none?
Motion to close public hearing.
Second. There's been moved by Mr. Hardy, second by Mr. Morales. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's been moved by Mr. Hardy. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Morales. Any question regarding this item? Is for the question? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. All those opposed? This item passed 5-0. Action item. Board meeting. Board meeting. Is the moved by Mr. Morales to approve for meeting?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hardy. Is there any question regarding the matter? Say none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The item passed 5-0. 13B, facilities.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Hardy, second by Ms. Castro. Is there any question regarding facilities? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, this carries as 5-0. Any takers to consent agenda?
So moved.
This is moved by Mr. Harvey, second by
Second.
Mr. Morales. Is there any questions?
Yes, Madam President, I would like to pull item 14F5.
Is there any other question? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? This item has 5-0. Now we have 14F5. Do you have
So moved.
this is moved by Mr. Harvey, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madero. All those opposed? Is there any questions?
Yes, Madam President, I would like to make a comment on this item. So the reason I'm putting this item for the vaccine mandate resolution we have with students is because I feel it's uncomfortable for me to push for implementation of a mandate based on medical decisions on this for our students, with other students, because one, I feel studying is not necessary. We already do have a mandate issued by the governor, the 22 executive order. Though our mandate does go the extra step and limits exceptions only to medical exceptions and not personal beliefs, I don't think it is right for us to suggest a person's personal belief is unvalidated. Do I agree with them? No. No, I don't agree. But I believe in the science behind the vaccine. I am vaccinated. My parents are vaccinated. My sisters are vaccinated. Pretty much everyone in my family is vaccinated. Only those who don't have a vaccine available yet are the ones not vaccinated. However, I believe in making ourselves vulnerable for litigation similar to LUSD. I don't believe we should, take this extra step and make ourselves vulnerable to any sort of litigation. I'd rather have the state deal with that, and then we do our part to enforce the state's mandate, and then the state can deal with other repercussions and not this void. We can spend our time and our resources elsewhere. Members in the community who want to get their kids vaccinated, they're going to get their vaccinated. I believe there's a lot of folks out there who are going to fight this, and I believe, I don't think we should put a pin between them, the decision they make for their kids and a quality education for their kids. I understand the sentiments of a lot of folks based on this vaccine. Some people make pretty legit, claims or arguments that they've been vaccinated. Others, not so much. They listen to a lot of sound bites they see on social media, something some politician might have said or are saying out there. But I believe in the science. I also believe in that sense of freedom of us being able to make the decision. I make the decision to get myself vaccinated. Some folks say that I'm a guinea pig because of it. I don't feel on the side effects of it. So if me being a guinea pig is to be someone that can prove the science behind this vaccine is effective, let it be. But people putting their kids and debuting their kids, they're endangering their kids. Let them not vaccinate their kids and their kids go to our schools. Everyone else is vaccinated, but we can still spread the vaccine so they can still live through our mouth, through our nose. Their kids are going to get sick, and then those kids are going to carry the vaccine, the virus home. The way how I look at the vaccine myself, I look at it like a seatbelt, like a car seatbelt. It's there for our protection. When we get in the car, we make the decision whether to put it on or not. We put put it on, we get in an accident, we'll survive. If we don't, we'll die. That's all I have to say on it.
Any other questions? Any other?
Well, I mean, I think it's a fair question to spend some time on. You know, and I think what my colleague was trying to say, I agree with him, it's uncomfortable to make a decision when imposing stuff on people. And, you know, the question came to mind as I'm coming in and talking to the superintendent, because other people are probably saying, why are we passing it if the government already mandated it? You know, isn't that enough? And the superintendent is coming to me that we can either expand or, you know, go wider or go narrower, you know, based on what the state did, that it's the district's priority to do what it wants. I think that, you know, that we heard an argument tonight about the potential of a lawsuit if someone were to take a vaccine, for example, and something happens to that person who took the vaccine, and there's a side effect or so, right? Unfortunately, though, it works the other way too. The district is exposed to lawsuits to be felt to do nothing, and someone, you know, contracts COVID and they die. So it goes both ways. So we have to think about what it is we have to do. I think that there are some concerns that maybe we should look a little more into. Mr. Delgado had mentioned about lawsuits. Well, what have we looked at? Because I know we asked the question before as to what exposure could we have and where are we safe as an entity, because I do think we have a duty to protect the school district from lawsuits, so we want to do what we have to within the law. I don't think we want to be breaking the law or going, you know, beyond the Constitution, which is our supreme law, and what it is that we must respect and honor and protect, because it is the foundation of everything else that we do. So I think I'd like to hear from council as to the legality of us doing this, and also like to explore in the past, you know, because this is other thing, this isn't a novel issue. There are vaccines we have now that if our kids don't have them, they can't come to school. And I know some of the arguments I've heard is, you know, this is brand new. Well, at some point, the other ones weren't either. So I would like to know, factually, I did hear some information tonight, but I'd like to hear, you know, for example, when the polio vaccine came out, how soon after it came out that it became mandated? Because, you know, now it's been 50 years or 70 years since the polio vaccine was invented, but I believe it was shortly thereafter that it started to be mandated. So are we in that, you know, area now where it's comfortable? The CDC says it's, you know, fully certified. So I'd like to know about that before I would make the decision. I think that, you know, we're going to be making a decision that we've already made on another situation, and I can't see us doing it in one and not doing it on the other. So I'd like to get information about, you know, that for example. And that just goes to show, though, I think that the board's not taking this lightly and wants to make a well-informed and educated vote.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just, on my part, I think the request for additional time to consider the ramification is down. But I want to make sure that we are clear about what we're doing here. This is not an attack on personal choice and beliefs. This is the board functioning in its government's role to keep the whole of the community safe. And it is our goal to do so in a way that is rooted in equity, access, and justice, not just words on the wall, but things that we actually believe, right? So on this dais, let's just make sure that we are making a decision that is based on fact, that is not rooted in fallacies, and that is done in the best interest of the students that we have under our stewardship. I'll say from a personal standpoint, I lost my sister last month to this virus. I cannot tell you the horrors it is to watch someone you love die from this virus. You cannot comfort them, you cannot visit them. All you do is get constant phone calls of which you hope are positive news, but mostly they are not. And I feel for every doctor, every nurse that's dealing with this virus, because they have to be the ones to bear the bad news of someone's loved one passing away. So, remember what my sister said when she was in the hospital weekend, the first chance she said she'd get a vaccine. Because that is the barrier between life and death for so many people. And in a community full of black and brown folks who have been hit the hardest by this virus, we now have something that can save lives. That's what this is about. This is not about some other conspiracy, but the virus is so intelligent that it will continue to mutate itself until we put a wall in its way and cut it off, and that's what this vaccine is. That's my personal belief. But as a school board member, we have to do what is right for our entire community. And that is, again, within equity, access, and justice, that's allowing proper exemptions for those who cannot get vaccinated or choose not to on the proper basis that we set out. So I think it's worth looking back and making sure we get it right. So we don't have to come back and revisit it. But I want to just remind people that we're here to ensure the safety of our entire community. Sometimes that requires us to give some of our personal freedom for the good of others. It's like those of us on this board have to give a lot of personal freedoms to serve this community. That's what we do when we love our neighbor, right? So I just hope that we return to that. I will support my colleagues' request for council to look into any legal ramifications of this mandate to ensure that it's airtight, that we made the proper considerations, and that it is the right thing to do for the little community going forward. Whether we vote for yea or nay isn't what I'm asking for, but it's asking for that we have our percentage with the product at a future board meeting. That is something that we'll all come to making a decision on. So I don't think we have that level of consensus yet, unless I'm wrong on that. But I think that question is fair. But like I said, my personal belief, with my personal governance hat on, is to do everything possible to save lives. And I think this is a way to do so. And the longer we continue to let this virus run free, it will mutate, become stronger, and we will lose more people from our community and our families. And I don't want anybody to deal with what I'm dealing with now. It's still dealing with the loss of my favorite sister. I shouldn't say that. My favorite sister. And the way that she suffered in her last days was worse than any nightmare that I've ever had in my entire life. And the morning after she passed, I woke up hoping that day was just a nightmare on to find out that was my reality, and I don't want that for anyone else in this community.
If I may, before Dr. Castro, you start, I just want to, I think my colleague, Mr. Hardy, can tell me if I'm wrong or like, I don't want to mistake it, but I just want to make something clear. I think the board as a whole, for the most, we know we need to divide our personal lives from our board lives or board decisions. And I say that because I don't know what's going on. I think that so for example, as he shared, I'm vaccinated. I have a little girl that's 5, and if there was a vaccine for her, I would give it to her. Just because I don't want to be in a situation where she passes and then I didn't do everything I possibly could. And if she were to pass and if she was vaccinated, I could at least say everything I could. If not, my soul would not let it rest. That's my personal decision. My board decision is, I think what Gary said is, what's best for the whole. And trust me, I do think about the fact that my decision would mean that somebody's child would make the decision I'm going to have to, and I don't want to make that decision, as I'm telling you, dictating, because like you all said, we live in America. But then again, then you have the other side that says you need to look at public safety and the public good. So we have these counterbalancing, and that's what I want to do is, I said, let's be fair, let's take a look at it really closely to make sure that we're taking into consideration all these things. Because, we want to make sure we're not being those tyrants that we think about. We want to make sure that we're doing what's responsible for our community. But what does that mean exactly? Because what it could mean is there could be something that says everybody should get it as soon as there's an emergency. Or it could look like, it's as long as it's fully CDC, not emergency, but a regular vaccine. And it could mean, there's exceptions. And then how far do those exceptions go? So I think it's something that we need to consider, what those limitations are going to be and how much we're going to expand them to allow people who don't want to take it. If they have an exception, how far are we going to go with the exception? And, I think it's stuff that we are pondering. It's not something we're taking lightly. And we do see the distinction between our personal lives and our board lives. Or if it was personal money for me, then, I'd be like, oh, it's all good, I'm good, it's all good. But I know that shouldn't be the case. It should be a more holistic, taking into consideration not just my feelings, but we'll track for everyone. And that could be something different than what I want.
That's a fair statement. Essentially what I was saying is that when it comes to public safety decisions, there's different lenses that we use. And the determining factor isn't about removing the individual's personal belief and freedom, but about taking steps to protect the whole of the community. And it may not be a fun one. Like I wasn't a fan of closing schools back in March. So I understand what our schools are to our community. But we have to do what we have to do to keep our families safe. So it required us to all shift and bend in a lot of uncomfortable ways to do what's right to keep people safe. So I agree. I think it's about understanding the distinction, but also doing it in a way that aligns with our mission and vision, which is to make sure that we consider everything in our product decision that this board will ultimately decide on, yea or nay, that we've done our due diligence to consider all possibilities. But what I don't want us to do is to shy away from making a decision by delaying this too long, where we are in a lot of ways out of compliance with keeping our community safe.
Thank you. I do support the vaccine. I'm vaccinated. My high school daughter is also vaccinated, but I also understand and respect the commentary in the discussion tonight and also the public comments. And I also know the importance of our role in ensuring safety of our community. I do support our colleagues' ask for additional time to do further research. But I agree with Mr. Harvey. It can't be that long when we come back to make some of these difficult decisions because the lives of our children, the lives of our community members, the lives of our families are at stake. And I think these are very difficult decisions. I appreciate for the time over the past few weeks I have had multiple conversations with neighbors, with stakeholders, sharing concerns, and I think that's what, as board members, that's what this is about listening, being able to do that separation of your own personal decision, but also ensuring that you're protecting and ensuring the safety of all of our children.
Thank you, Ms. Cathy. If you're a resident of Lynwood, I'm going to ask you, last year, how many people died in Lynwood? It was all over the news. We were the most affected city in the country. It was a big suffering. I remember we were giving food on the street. In one block, 4 people died. Just a week before. Lynwood was affected and everybody was asking, pushing out, when you are going to get a vaccine, when you are going to get a testing. That's the thing. Always the board was calling him, hey, let's get the vaccine, let's get the vaccine, let's get the testing. And he did it, that city did it. Everybody worked together to bring those resources to the community. We have St. John's, we have different organizations coming to Lingua to do the vaccines, to do the testing. So it starts. And I understand, I respect every belief, I respect every opinion, but as a board, we need to protect our kids. When we have the mandate for the teachers, what the teacher says, what about the kids? They bring also, they are outside, they bring also hypertension disease. And it's difficult. It's not about a lawsuit. It's about being human and think about the benefit of the vaccine. A month ago, we have parents telling us what you are going to do as a board support to bring the vaccines to the school sites. We approved $2 million in vaccines. $1 million, 600,000 in testing. And now, you cannot get the vaccine. No, the vaccine is for every single family that in one way knows somebody, knows the damage in a family that can cause not to be vaccinated. In my family in Mexico, I lost more than 8 people, close family members. My little nephews, they had come a month ago. And if you haven't had the experience, I don't wish that to any of you. Please get vaccinated. Please help us to keep people alive. When the high school collapsed, we the board said, we are going to close this area because we don't want one student to have to lose one student or to lose one employee. We close it. We know the millions of dollars that are going to cost us, and it's costing us. Same thing with COVID-19. We don't want to lose one kid that we don't do anything. And that's what I'm saying. This is my personal view. No, it's my community because wherever we go, especially parents, at least 5 call us me today. Thank you for putting the mandate because sometimes as parents, we should give time to the vaccine and we don't do it. We have it there. All I'm asking tonight is help us to understand that it's not about us. It's about our safety and keep people alive, especially kids. We are not dictating anything. We want everybody to get the vaccine. And if you're an employee of this district, you know what it means. We lose kids, we lose family when we don't get vaccinated. Right now it's bad. And it's going to be worse in these coming months, like happened last year. So, I don't know. I don't feel that we need more time because we've been doing studies on this. But if the majority of the board wants to extend to next board meeting, I will accept that. But the results are the same. We are protecting our kids, your kids, my kids, your grandkids.
Can I get clear on what our directive is right now tonight? So I think it's clear that we want, as a simple answer, of what the legal exposure is to the district in relation to this resolution on the agenda. And legal counsel can get that to us in an expedited fashion. We can have that answer. I think that was the development by my colleague that we can immediately address. One thing that I did ask for, and doesn't have to be part of the resolution, is that in addition to whatever we do, that there's some community education that's done on this vaccine so people understand what we're doing and that we defeat the myths and fallacies about it, because that is a lot of the hesitation in our communities is because of what we've heard on social media, what has been said by certain politicians who are, by the way, vaccinated. And it is, in fact, costing lives because of the misinformation that's around this vaccine. That's why this decision is hard, because of misinformation. If we all had the same facts, this wouldn't be as hard a decision, but that is not the case, right? There's a lot of information flying around. Not all of it is true, and in fact, most of it is not. But we know that we can get factual information to our community, and in addition to whatever resolution we propose, we should also do some community education to that end. I don't need personally more time on the decision, but my colleagues want to make sure that we answer the question of legal exposure. Let's do that, and let's do that in the next fashion.
Madam President, I just ask that the record reflect that I have spoken with the superintendent about possibly doing an event for vaccination where, we give a little something here for people who come and get vaccinated through a raffle in exchange for something. But there are people out there getting vaccines in exchange for a donut. And I think it's something that, if we can get community members to come in, especially for our students. These are students who are most vulnerable. They're the ones that come into our campus. So hopefully the superintendent can work something with that, as well as we can work in conjunction with our colleagues. Just know that I will respect it and I will support it as well. That's all.
What is the sale of the motion, this moment?
I think, you know, and I don't make this ask lightly, because I feel personally, you know, if I feel the way you guys feel, I feel personally, any time we wait and people are not vaccinated, their lives are lost. But there is a counterbalance to that, which is sometimes what is life living if we don't have the liberties we're supposed to have. And in the spirit of protecting that, and feeling that we are living it just right, I think it's worth postponing for 2 weeks to getting the question regarding legalities. But I would also like to look at, because I heard something today, for example, that's not FDA approved. I didn't know it had to be FDA approved, but I had CDC approved. So what does that mean? I'd like to know the distinction, and, you know, if we're okay with it just being CDC approved. Because I know FDA stands for Food and Drug Administration, would now make sense. So, you know, what's that distinction? I think that it's worth, and then I would also like to know about the history of other vaccines that we currently have, how soon after they were invented, were they mandated, and, because I heard polio was invented early 50s, administered in 54. I mean, it would seem, you know, crazy, but we're basically 2 years already into this, you know, it feels like, you know, a couple months ago, but it's 2 years.
Well, this is the reason why I was saying that we need to make sure that we are factual in our decision and be careful about what we say as well. We should confirm in public that the vaccine did in fact get FDA approval. The CDC is not the one that is an approval authority over vaccines. They have guidance around disease control, and that's really it. The other part about it is understanding how this vaccine was produced. It was produced off what we know about previous coronaviruses. This is the COVID-19, so 2019 version of coronavirus, right? So expedited nature was because of Operation Warp Speed and an unlimited amount of money, time, and resources to get a vaccine out using past synapses of vaccines. So they didn't start from scratch like they did with the polio vaccine in 1950. So let's make sure again that there is some general common knowledge around the vaccine itself and its administration, its composition, so on and so forth, so that we're all on the same page as well. Because I think the misinformation is what's really, truly dividing people, because some people are accepting misinformation as fact, and those of us who are the privilege of information that's coming from the source directly make a different destination. So let's make sure we do that in an accurate way. Again, like I said, I tend to side tonight, but my colleagues are comfortable to vote one way or another. I think it's important that we all come to a place where we're comfortable making a decision. And if that takes 2 weeks, then so.
I just want to remind everybody that Los Angeles Unified School District, make the research, run it all, for the teachers, also for the students. San Diego Unified School District approved for the letter of the language in California back in September. For students and for teachers, protecting both. So, I don't know why we've been putting this item, we knew this item, we studied this item, we follow all the information, and now we understand we need more information. I'm okay, but the more time we take, more risk we put the kids. It's not about us, it's about your kids. It's about you.
Madam President, and also as we are, if we decide that we're moving into doing research for legal exposure, et cetera, I think it's a period of time where we can also hold informational sessions, town hall, and just hear the voices of our communities and constituents and those concerns, because it's really important that when we come to make those decisions, that our community has had that opportunity continue to share through in-person meetings, virtual meetings, information in English and in other languages. I really think that, you know, I agree with Mr. Hardy, that community education, factual base. So I would like to see if that can be done
during this 2-week period, if we do come back to, if we table it and come back. Yeah,
So question of clarification.
I'm not in agreement, but I will support the four of you if that's your decision.
I think this may help. So with the resolution as written, when would it go into effect where students would have to be vaccinated in order to go to school?
So the way the resolution is currently written, it would only require students of the age group where the vaccine is fully FDA approved. And so right now, as you mentioned, Mr. Hardy, it is fully authorized by federal FDA for ages 16 and up through Pfizer. Moderna and Johnson & Johnson are not authorized for those age groups, but it is through Pfizer. And this resolution would only make it a requirement once it's fully authorized by the FDA.
So there's no set date for this mandate to take effect?
January for those who are fully authorized right now. And one of the questions that was brought up by your colleagues is what's the sentiment of the community? So if you look at the LA County Department of Public Health website, the numbers for Lingua community range for 12 and up, 64 to 70% of that age group is already vaccinated. So you do have a majority of that age group that already has at least one dose of the vaccine.
Right. I was asking that, just making sure that whether we decide tonight or not, it doesn't affect the timeline of the mandate actually being enacted, correct?
That's correct.
So with that in mind, a 2-week delay won't change that timeline, Madam President. So if we could use the time to answer our colleagues' questions so that we are in consensus on this motion, I think that we just work on that.
Yeah, the one thing I want to make clear, we are not going to make a decision in something that we don't know what we are doing. First of all, 18 through 16 is fully authorized to approve. And with anything that you may hear is mentioned, we can make the decision, it's authorized, that if you, the rest of the board needs more time, let's table it. But I don't see the need, because it's just for 2 years, that is like 18 and 16, and then the mandate will be authorized or bring back to the board when the rest of the kids are eligible. Those kids, 18 and 16, are the ones who are going outside, going to gain more exposed to contagion. And we are saying, oh, let's wait. For what? When we can see that every day is a lot of contagion. A lot. We are not doing the little kids right now. It's not authorized. Only 16 to 18. That's all that we need to approve tonight, and we are protecting the kids.
With that in mind, Madam President, it doesn't seem like we'll have consensus for approval, but all these questions being answered prior. So in the hopes of a consensus going forward, it will behoove us to take the time to answer the questions of our colleagues so they can make a decision. I think they're on the same page as far as being able to make a decision tonight. And it'll be expedient for all of us to be in places of common knowledge of move forward. And like I mentioned, we clarified with the superintendent, us deciding from 2 weeks from now will not delay. This will take into effect come January, so a delay won't have an impact on the final decision, unless I'm wrong, Mr. Superintendent.
You're correct, Mr. This is, I have not pulled this agenda item, so this is a conversation for you to.
Let's go ahead and open this discussion. It's a pleasure of the president if she would like to call for a vote or pull it back for the later day.
I will call for the
Before you do that, Ms. Lopez, I just want to make sure that how you said that regardless of what happens, we support we move forward on the vote today, I know that my symbolic vote will mean nothing, and again, I support the board, and I will vote with the board. And that's what I thought the discussion was helpful. I mean, at the very least, they know that we talked about this, we met the superintendent individually, he's talked to us about this. But I want them to know that, because it's important, because it's impacting the community. And that was the reason, and that's the reason for my concern and my request for the 2 weeks. And I know that even though it doesn't affect Mr. Hardy, the outcome, because January is the 8th, it's a reality. If we do this sooner, people will get their kids probably vaccinated sooner, and it will have an impact on the death. It might. And, I think that that's something to consider as well. I don't take the proposition that I'm making lightly. I know it could have an impact, but again, I think that our freedoms are valuable, and there's a counterbalance, which is life. So, with that being said, I believe someone else made the motion, so whoever made the motion in the second has the right to
We need to move forward. We're going to put, do I have a motion?
I think it was.
I'm sorry, there's only one for deliberation, whether, we go to the vote or we carry it.
Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
I abstain.
Only one abstention. This item passed 4 with 1 abstention. Thank you so much. We have one item, item 15 for discussion item.
Madam President, just want to share an update. We've been talking in conversation with Lynwood City about providing an infrastructure that would make broadband access free or reduced cost for Lynwood Unified students. Lynwood City has asked us about the possibility for them to make it also available at low cost for the low-income residents. And I'd like for Dr. Gibbs just to give us a quick update, because we did have the governor sign 3 very important bills, including one from SB4 from Senator Lina Gonzalez.
Thank you, and good evening, Madam President Gonzalez, Madam President Lopez, excuse me, and members of the board.
Let me see if I like
My apologies. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge the fact that there are ghosts in this room that are affecting the AV as well as the name calling, so I have my apologies for all of that as well. So again, as Superintendent Crosswood mentioned, tonight for discussion and for the board review is a resolution that we plan to bring back for approval with any revisions or edits as recommended by the board. This resolution does 3 things. Number 1, it recognizes it and acknowledges the fact that disparities and gaps exist when it comes to broadband internet access, adoption, and speed, as you all are aware. Number 2, it does also allow us to position ourselves to strengthen a partnership with the city of Lynwood and to potentially become an internet service provider for the community as well. And then last but not least, it allows us to apply for additional funding that may be eligible for us as well. So again, this resolution is to strengthen our partnership. This resolution will position us for funding, and it also recognizes and acknowledges the fact that we do have gaps within the community. As the board is aware, in light of all of the Governor Newsom's bills that were signed last week, including Senate Bill 4, and that was authored by Lina Gonzalez, it really allows us to actually reform the California Advanced Services Fund that expands projects for grants, and so we will be positioned to apply for grants as well. And that concludes one update.
Thank you. Let me ask you. It was the Lynwood Unified School District that started these negotiations with Wi-Fi. So information seems to me like we are supporting the city. That's something that contradicts what we are doing. I think that the city should have a resolution supporting that.
Yeah, the city will be supporting us as well. They had requested for our support, and in return, they will be also supporting us too. So it is a very collaborative effort moving forward.
I just want to say a minute, that is the Lynwood is going to initiate the race game. And all the gadgets, the superintendent, and everybody's supporting that.
We absolutely, and we definitely cannot do this without the city as well.
Oh, yeah, because we need to make a difference in our life. Thank you so much. Any other one?
No, Madam President.
Madam President, with reference to section 5 of the proposed agenda. Say that, thank you. With reference to section 5 of the published agenda, item 5A1, the board received information, no final action was taken. Item 5B1, the board received information, no final action was taken. Item 5C was not considered by the board, and that concludes the readout of the closed session.
Thank you very much. Before we close the meeting, I would like to close the meeting in memory of Gary Hardin.
If I may just add to it, in memory of his father, who was the anniversary of this past week.
And in memory of Gary's person, Gary's father. Is there any question before we adjourn the meeting?
Also move to adjourn?
This would be moved, by Mr. Morales, second by Mr. Hardy. Is there any objection to going to the silence? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?